Okay, so you've seen the video where I dropped it in. Imagine if I was 12 feet off the ground, it would have been a piece of cake. I have this panel constructed with probably 70% of 2x4s in the framing. The panel with the 2x4s weighed 27.5 pounds, so wasn't horrible. All right, corner number 2. And again, that's expected. Wouldn't be wise in a windstorm, I suppose, but that's going to hold up quite a bit. And it is kind of windy, so this may be an ultimate test. All right, well, here we go. I've got these other brackets put on. Came together pretty well. So that's the inside. Definitely going to want to make sure that when you're putting this together on location that you have one of those clamps, because it was really helpful to have that here to kind of hold these together while I was screwing them in. So that was definitely a plus. Now on the outside, it don't look too bad. Now see, there's the brackets. Now I know that there's a gap in there. I'm going to take care of that later. This corner, we ran into what I kind of anticipated, and this looks worse than it really is. And the problem is that this T111 is designed to overlap. So your next sheet would overlap here, and it would maintain this 3/8 inch groove or whatever that is. So when you get down to the end of the sheet, it's actually thinner than the rest of it. So it looks like it's not buttoned up right. It is a little bit sloppy. Probably something I could fix later. Probably something we can deal with when I had a little bit more help. But for right now, I'm gonna say that's a win. Now I'm out of material and it's supposed to come in rain a little bit here. So I'm gonna just tinker around with this just a little bit more. And then I am going to break it down and bring it back in the garage so it stays dry. But yeah, it's not bad. Not bad. There's a couple things I want to do later to add some additional support and some rigidity, but I don't want to put that on a panel and then carry the panel. I want to be able to do that in the field. It looks like, once you get the platform set, you put your panels on your forks on your tractor. You put the side panels, the corner panels. You haul that up there, lift it up, you're almost there anyway. It wouldn't be much of a reach to get it from the 7 foot or so reach of the tractor. Probably get it up to 9 foot and you're at 10, 12 foot. It really probably wouldn't take much to reach down and grab those. You got 2 guys, it's going to be a piece of cake. Grab down, put it down, set it down into the channels, and then as you're going, clamp them, cinch them up, and just keep going till you're all the way around. It'll be interesting to see finally we're gonna have to eventually put a roof on it. Now I've seen in my prototype what I was planning on for the roof, and I'm still thinking along those lines. It's just going to be interesting to see, because how you're going to get that up there. It's going to definitely be 2 guys. You're talking probably 100 pounds in roofing. Either that, or you got to put it on one sheet at a time. It's only 2 sheets, 1 sheet at a time, and then climb up there and roof it, which in the younger days I wouldn't have cared too much about that. This day and age, I'm not really all that interested in doing that. Um, maybe I can get my kid out here for a couple of days. Anyway, yeah, so far it looks like it's working out pretty good. I am pretty happy. Actually, I'm really happy with the way that looks on the outside. That's coming together real well. And I have an idea. I'm going to have plenty of leftover T111 because of the way that this is dimensioning out. I'm going to have, a third of a sheet twice. And I think I can do something with these corners. Again, something that's going to have to be done from the outside. So I'm guessing, we get this on a 10, 12-foot platform and get an extension ladder. Once you put it up, get everything stayed up, get an extension ladder and put it up there, put it up against that. I've been up much higher than that before on an extension ladder, so I'm not overly concerned about that. It's definitely doable. I'm thinking, you're going to probably put those windows in from the outside. That's the way they're mounted. You don't have to worry about adding the weight to the panel, and certainly don't want to worry about damage them in transport. So you slide those in the hole, screw them in from the outside. Yeah, that shouldn't be too bad. I'm going to put some lateral rigidity into the 4-foot panels just to keep it a little bit flatter, help it out a little bit. But up and down, with the 2x4s we got on the corners, I think it's certainly plenty strong going up and down. I'm a little bit worried about the lateral bowing, but we'll take that. It's not going to go anywhere now. Once you get it on there, again, on the bottom, you can very easily, and I had intentions of on the bottom running a row of screws down through the bottom. That's going to hold that. No, it's not going to go anywhere. Those brackets are basically just to help you until you can get everything lined up. So, yep, coming together pretty good, I think. Although I ran some costs last night, it's running a little bit more money than I thought. And with the windows, it's certainly going to put it over the top. The windows are essentially going to be almost as much as the framing material, the lumber and the plates and the nails and the screws and the windows. I got $150 for a corner panel and one horizontal window. And I'm going to have that 4 more times. So it's going to be $600-700 alone in windows. But again, I'm pretty convinced that all this work isn't going to do any good if the window doesn't function right at the moment of truth. So I'm not going to squawk about that. But right now, it's looking like we're going to be pushing $2,000 at lumber prices in February of 23. So still a lot cheaper than $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. Okay. All right. Well, that was interesting. The weatherman was calling for weather moving in. We got some storms coming the next couple of days, and as is common in the area, precursor to any kind of storm coming in, we see it gets windy the day before. They were calling for wind, or calling for gusts up to 35 miles an hour. It was supposed to come in later on this afternoon, and apparently, well, it is 12:07, so I guess it is later on this afternoon. So I had those panels up, and all of a sudden the wind started blowing, and they didn't go anywhere, but they were starting to rock back and forth. So I ran out there and disconnected everything and hauled it back into the garage in like 2 minutes. So that part worked out well. So we know in a pinch, you can take that damn thing apart pretty doggone quick if you have to. So, yep, now we're just going to anticipate for the rest of the storm to roll in and get a day or two of rain. So in spite of the setback of not realizing that T111 siding was measured out for a 48-inch exposure. So in order to do that, because one panel overlaps the other panel, it's actually 48.5 inches. So I got a couple walls up and I'm off a ½ inch, and pretty soon realized what the problem was. So I had to take everything back down again and shave about 5/8 of an inch off of a 48-inch wide, but now I'm at 86-inch high on the panel, which gives me an interior height of 80 inches. So we got 6 inches that are sitting down on the sides of these. So got that all cleaned up, put in some additional bracing. Of course, I lost essentially 10 inches off the top, which was too much on the height anyway. And this stuff seems to be weighing out to about 2 pounds a square foot. So when I get all the way around this, I'm going to have 33 square feet missing, 66 pounds. But I'm going to add some of that back in because of the bracing that I put in, especially at the bottom, because I've got this sitting in those channels, and the 3/8, when you're holding it by yourself, you have a tendency to bow. And when you put it down in a channel, it was bowing out. It was pretty miserable. So I put in some bracing. I'll show you here in a minute. I'll put some bracing in the bottom to keep that a little bit flatter. So I was able to drop that into the channel a whole lot easier. There's going to be a little bit more bracing. So of what I saved by shaving off a foot or 10 inches off the top, I'm going to add some of it back in for some additional bracing just to give it a little bit more rigidity. So far I've got 3 sides and 2 corners up, and that's all I'm going to do for today. I got some other things I'm going to do, but it looks like it's working out pretty good. So this is the inside, and you can see those panels, they're coming together pretty good. I've got those Simpson ties that I'm using to keep them at that 45-degree angle. Here's some of the bracing that I put on the bottom that's keeping that 48-inch panel from bowing when I'm trying to set it into the channels. So on the outside, those are the channels that it's setting in, and that's what is a problem when you bow. Now these corners are actually coming together pretty nicely. I don't know if you can hear that wind. It's a windy day in Kentucky today, so hopefully it's not picking up on the microphone too much. So the corners, they're all coming together pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with what's going on here. This does require some thought as to what you're putting where, mostly because you're going to take it apart and put it back together. And I'll have to do something up here, cutting these, and sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Anyway, not all that worried about what's going on up there. But yeah, it is definitely coming together. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but even though this is only really 3 sides and 2 corners, you can see that's really pretty stiff. Now there'll be windows in here, and there'll be some more bracing windows, and then long windows here. And with my bow, it doesn't exceed my height. I'm 6'3", so if I'm pulling back, most likely shooting at a downward angle, I'll have plenty of room over my head. These horizontal windows will be down lower because we'll be sitting down. So yeah, I've got 2 more corners and a side, And then pretty much I just got to figure out how to blend the top end with the roof. And that's still an ongoing thought process because of what I want to do up there. So yeah, not bad. Well, started cutting in the window holes. These are cut in with a rough opening according to the window manufacturer, which they should probably, the first couple that I ordered should be coming in sometime soon. So the other side panels are all marked and ready to cut out. So I'm going to cut those out, and I'm going to hold off on the corner panels because after I ordered it, I actually looked at what the rough opening was for that, and because I use a little beefier side panel brace, I'm going to be very close to what, in fact I'm not, I don't have the rough opening that they're saying that I should have for those side panels. So I may have to do something a little bit creative there, but I'll wait till those come in before I start cutting rough openings on them. So I'll cut these windows out, and then I'm going to sit down and really seriously contemplate how to roof this thing. Well, the window holes are in. Starting to look like a shooting house. Looks like it would be a good elevation, good height for the windows. Well, I have the windows framed in, top and bottom. This might be a little abrupt right there, but anyway, you get the idea. So tomorrow, what I'm going to do is go to the home improvement store, and I'm going to buy 1-inch foam insulation, and I'm going to cut it so it drops right inside that panel. And because of the angle that I have on that, I should be able to rely pretty heavily on a friction fit. I probably won't have to use any glue at all. So we'll see how that turns out tomorrow. Well, here's an alternative idea. I was planning on putting a shelf up there anyway, but I notched a couple barrel grooves. If we ever decide to go gun hunting, we can lean our gun up against that and keep it from falling over. What do you think?